Hello, today I'm going to talk about a book I wrote, Pet Hates, The Shocking Truth About Pets and Vets. The reason it came to mind was that yesterday I sold a copy of the book to a 12-year-old who was interested in becoming a vet. And one of my major motivations for writing the book in the first place was to tell aspirant veterinarians what the profession is really like. I wrote the book under the pen name Josh Artmeyer. If you look there, you should be able to see the name Josh Artmeyer, and perhaps you can guess it's an anagram of James Herriot, who was a vet who worked in the Yorkshire Dales a long time ago, a very talented writer, and his portrayal of the veterinary profession, I believe, was responsible for thousands and thousands of people becoming vets, and I believe that when they became vets they were sadly disillusioned because the profession wasn't quite as he portrayed it. But this is all explained in the introduction of the book, and I think I'll just read that to you. This book offers a uniquely honest, sometimes funny, sometimes sad and disturbing picture of the life of a vet in the 21st century. Make no mistake, be you a pet owner, a practicing veterinary surgeon, a prospective or current student of veterinary science or nursing, Pet Hates will dramatically change your perspective on the profession. In 2005, the suicide rate amongst vets in the UK hit the headlines, 4 times that of the population average, and twice that of doctors and nurses. And incidentally, if I can just interrupt the reading at this point, it was only a couple of months ago that I heard of yet another colleague who had killed himself. I myself have worked in 2 practices where previous members of staff had killed themselves. In one of these, 2 of them in fact. And I have witnessed and heard of many vets breaking down under the stress of the job, drugs and alcohol being 2 of the common routes. Even during my veterinary studies, one of my classmates repeatedly attempted to kill himself. New veterinary graduates can expect to be some £30,000 in debt, but they cannot expect to immediately walk into a well-paid job. Yet so many people apparently want to be vets, and no one appears to understand or sympathize with those of us who, from time to time, find it a difficult way to earn a living. In fact, this is one of the main stress factors. There seems to be a near universal belief that it is a wonderful and rewarding calling, and that anyone who doesn't find it so has something wrong with him or her and is undeserving of sympathy. It can be very difficult then to find anyone to talk to, hence the existence of the veterinary surgeons' helplines in the UK, 01926 315 119 and 07659 811 118. I believe that the media, the plethora of books and reality TV programs on vetting, have a lot to answer for. I hope this book will go some way towards correcting the balance and ultimately will save lives. With this as one of the book's major aims, I make no apologies for possibly shattering the illusions of those who idealize the profession. I've seen too much suffering to feel guilty about this. Who is this book for then? Number 1, pet owners. This will give you some idea of what may lie behind the seemingly cheerful, caring and patient manner of your vet. Alternatively, when she or he appears not to be in the best of form, you might appreciate why. Particularly, this book should make you aware of the wide variety of attitudes that people have towards their animals, although we all start off assuming that everyone is like us. If your vet sometimes gets the approach wrong, you will understand that this perhaps was the manner and attitude that suited the last client. Most of us are trying to do our best, but they don't teach mind reading in vet school. The second category of people at whom this book is aimed is those considering entering the profession. Training to be a vet is a major commitment. Depending on where you study, it will take up to 6 years of very hard work, and at the end of this, most of you will be heavily in debt. It's very hard to get an accurate idea of what being a vet is really like from school work experience or the odd weekend seeing practice, as everything appears new and exciting, and you will generally be shielded from the most stressful aspects of the job. It is as well that you know what you're letting yourself in for before it is too late. If, after reading this book, you are still determined to be a vet, then you will be very well equipped to handle the vet school interview. Your detailed knowledge of what the job is really like will certainly impress your interviewers, who will know the score only too well. After all, they almost certainly opted for a life in academia after experiencing the sharp end. The third category of readers at whom this book is aimed is those studying to be vets and veterinary nurses. If you've only just embarked on your studies, you might consider switching to something else, although admittedly it is very hard to relinquish a long-cherished dream. Failing that, you might start to make plans to move to one of the less stressful specialist areas. If these options are not feasible, you will at least be in a very good position to ask the right questions of potential employers, and I suggest their employees, and so avoid some of the worst jobs. This book could save you a great deal of unpleasantness. The fourth category, recent graduates. No, the problem isn't you. No, you are not alone. This book will be of great comfort if you are feeling isolated and depressed. It's very common for the thrill of graduation to give way rapidly to disillusion and depression, and to think there is something wrong with you. Well, many of us have been there, as you will see from this book, and there is a funny side to it. The fifth category of readers at whom this book is aimed: long-established vets and veterinary nurses. You should be familiar with much of this, and I think it will raise a knowing chuckle or two. For some, it may do you good to see the world through the eyes of a new graduate again. Bosses, this book might encourage you to treat your staff with more consideration. Finally, readers should note that while there isn't an entry entitled Large Animal Work, this book concentrates on the small animal side of the profession. I have worked almost entirely as a small animal vet, and as farmers are increasingly struggling to make ends meet, large animal work is in decline, and most graduates will spend most of their time dealing with pets. Happy reading.